Yo, what's good, man? This is Easy Pinchow Podcast with your one and only host, Glory Boy, back here with another special guest in the building. Come on, dude.
Thanks for
Where you
having
been,
me.
bro?
Been good, man.
Uh,
Excited to be back in Buffalo. Excited to see you and excited to have this conversation.
Most definitely, bro. It's been a minute, long time. It's crazy how, in life, you meet some people and they become your lifelong, friends. Like, you could just connect with them just anytime and,
Yeah.
and link up. And this is a prime example right here. But before we even get this started, man, I want y'all to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. And let's start, bro. Just tell people who you are, what you do, and you can just get going.
Yeah, I'm Duo Walk. Currently work in finance and specifically private equity. Currently based in Boston. And I'm from South Sudan originally. That's where I was born. That's where my family's from. And came to the States about 15 years ago. And I grew up in upstate New York, in Rochester, and then came to school here in Buffalo, New York.
How old, for the people that may want to know you just a little more, how old were you when you first came to the States?
Yeah, I was 10 turning 11.
Okay.
So young, but not, young enough where I didn't remember what life was like back in South Sudan. But young enough where I could still adapt and learn the new culture, the new language. So I was I think I would say a pretty good age to be able to kind of immerse myself in a new culture and learn as much as I can.
You also live in Ethiopia, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
when we left, it was just Sudan, right? Because we were going through the civil war, and my dad at the time was in the army. So when the leader of there was this rebel leaders, they were called the SPLA. They were like the South Sudanese leaders that wanted to separate from Sudan. When the leader got killed, my dad didn't see a future for us, and so he sent for us, and so we actually left Sudan, and we met him up in Ethiopia at a refugee camp, and we spent about 2.5 years there, which for some people that might seem like a lot, but it's not, because some people are born, I'm sure as you well aware, are born in a refugee camp and they stay there for
years, bro.
10 years, right?
Right.
2.5 years was kind of on the short end, partly because I think my dad made the case that if he just fled the army, he felt that he was a bit in danger, and so I think they kind of expedited our case a little bit there. I think I was able to just live there for a couple of years and then move to the States.
And yes, that's why a lot of times when I have like different guests, especially who I can relate to their stories, I like for us to always share our stories because we really experienced the bottom of the bottom. Because living in a refugee camp is not for the weak. Because you're dealing with your parents trying to find a way to feed you guys. Education is not, profitable. Like you go to school, you finish school, you're getting paid like $10 a week to teach, or the only opportunity there after you're done with school a lot of times was becoming a teacher after other teachers, most likely. And so how was it though? Like when you first knew that you was coming to America, how did you feel at a young age?
It's exciting, man. I'm sure you're well aware of, the stories that are told about what life is like in America.
Right.
And some of them are a bit exaggerated, but I think for the most part, when you come from, that experience where you're, living in a refugee camp or you're living in the village, and you come to the U.S. where you got a quality education, you get a quality healthcare system, you get, a quality just way of life, right? I think it's super exciting, and we were, I remember in refugee camp like almost every night praying, God just get us there, and we'll be forever grateful. And just coming here was a life changing for my family and I. The opportunities that we've gotten just being in this country.
Were you afraid of? Were you sad about leaving your, some of your closest friends that you met in the refugee camp?
I don't even think I can't remember.
You don't even remember them.
It was weird. I knew. I don't. Yeah, obviously I was sad to be leaving. Everything I knew back home,
Right.
and to come to this unknown. But I think at the same time, I knew it was a good opportunity, and I knew that I would be able to do a lot more. Just thinking now back to where I come from to where I am now, it's just. It wouldn't have been possible without the opportunity to be able to come to this country. I don't think I thought about it too much. It was more like, this is not a a great situation, and America seems to be the better option, and so I was more excited about that.
Right.
Obviously, it's. I mean, I think back now, like, I don't think I remember any of them, which is unfortunate. I haven't been back since I left, partly
Right.
because the country isn't super stable, and we've had our own civil wars following the separation from Sudan. Um, but yeah, I don't think I was too concerned. It's weird to
Yeah,
say. I don't think I was too
you just,
concerned.
you just came and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
follow your parents, just like
yeah,
a kid saying,
ex-
"Mom, where you going? Like, can I
yeah,
come with you?"
exactly.
But like, what was the expectation like within your household when you first came to America? What was the first things that you remember that your parents highlighted that needed to be accomplished coming to this country with such amazing opportunities and all these resources that surround you? What did they say to you guys?
I think the big thing for us was just education, right? I think um, when I came here, I didn't speak the language. I didn't have much of a education outside of the few years I got in the refugee camp. So my parents really honed in on the importance of education and what it can do for you. And I picked up soccer when I got here, and I loved the sport, and I wanted to play every day. But my dad was like, "If you don't get the grades that you need, right, you're not gonna play." And at first, I thought he was joking, but it was funny because when we first moved here, we didn't have cars, right? So our coaches would come pick us up, and I remember a particular scenario where my coach came, and my dad pulled him aside. He's like, "I've told you already. If he doesn't get his grade, like if he doesn't get A's, he's not playing soccer." And that's when I realized, oh, he's not playing around. Like, I got to make sure my grades are really good. And I think that was like the big message for us was like, you guys are here. We've sacrificed a lot for you guys to be here. Just make sure you take advantage of that. And the center of that was education.
Yeah, and also you attended a private high school when you went to high school, which was Bishop Carney. Am I correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember.
yeah,
How was that experience just going to a private school that that it's an expensive school, but you're going there with a scholarship, you have that opportunity of attending such an amazing school within the area of, Rochester,
yeah.
which was one of the best schools in Rochester, I could say. How did you feel and how did your parents kind of like react to that going forward?
I don't think my parents necessarily understood like the magnitude of the opportunity, but for me, it was a privilege because again, back to that point about the importance of education. I got the scholarship to this refugee program. This lady, her name is Kathy Labou, and then this other family friend called Dan Callan. They saw something in me and this other kid, and they gave us an opportunity to go to this private high school, which significantly alter the trajectory of my life essentially because the quality education allowed me to go on to college and get a good degree and then go on and get a great job after that. It kind of starts from there because I think part of the reason a lot of people, especially first gen students, struggle in college is just not being prepared academically. Right, you're trying to prepare for the academics, but also like what major am I gonna take? How am I gonna pay for this? Like what resources are available to me? And a lot of people just have parents that can kind of guide them through that. I was blessed in that I got the opportunity to go to this private high school, which kind of helped prepare me academically. Like I remember coming out of high school, I was literally paranoid about dropping out. I had seen people who were ahead of me, close family friends, just drop out after a semester or two, and I was concerned that might happen to me too. But I think partly because I had that great education, partly because I was paranoid, partly because I was able to like take advantage of the opportunities that the school had. I was able to kind of navigate those things without an issue. But yeah, that education at that young age was super instrumental in getting to me where I am today.
Did you also attend a public school?
I did. So I
So like,
did.
what's your like? Because there's so many people that complain or they try to compare the two, private and public. But like, because you actually went to the both of them, how can you describe it to someone that's really looking into pursuing their education in either one of them?
Yeah, I think it depends on the type of public schools, right? I mean, some public schools that are nicer neighborhoods, maybe the suburbs probably are comparable to a private high school, but then some of the public city schools aren't as great. I started off at I think middle school at I think school 44, and then I went to I think school 17. I forgot the names of the schools, but it was just those city schools. Um, Again, the first couple years I was learning the language. I was getting caught up on everything because I didn't really know much. But like my third year, I think I was at a good spot where I was caught up and I was performing really well. I was, close. I think it was like 98, 90 something average, right?
Right.
Which is good. But I think it's also because the course will the coursework wasn't that challenging. Because then I went to Bishop Kearney, and I think I was like A minus student. My grades dropped probably of like 5-10%, but not necessarily because I was slacking off, but just because the coursework was a lot harder. So I would say, depending on the type of public schools, if you're in a city, most city schools aren't as, unfortunately, aren't as um, great as some of the private high schools. But I
Right.
think there are some public schools that are comparable, I would say.
Yeah, and playing soccer in high school, you had to keep up your grades. How was that experience? I mean, because like some people complain about high school soccer today. It's terrible. I've been to some high school soccer today, and I'm like, man, like this is not when I was playing or when I know my brothers and people who are older than me was playing. Like the games were competitive and people enjoyed playing it. But like in your time, Bishop Carney, how was that for you?
Again, I agree with you in that I think the levels dropped off a little bit. I think a lot of the players, especially players that are really focused on going to play at the college level and in particular the Division 1 level, they've kind of moved to the clubs because that's where most the coaches recruit. But I had a decent enough experience where, again, my team was decent. We were in an okay league. I probably could have been challenged a bit more, because again I was starting as a freshman on the varsity team, and I felt like I was one of the better players on the team, right? Which again, I was decent, but like the level wasn't that great. And so I think when you go to the Division 1 level, you're a little bit behind because you're used to having so much time, right? You get the ball, you can take a touch. It doesn't have to be a great touch because the guy's not close to you enough, and then you could get your head up, decide what you want to do.
Mm.
I think if I had played again, my club team was pretty good. I think we had a really good team, and I was able to develop a little bit more there. But when you're not challenged, daily, and then you compete with guys who are playing at the highest level, like some of the best European club teams, you kind of like you feel that, right?
Right.
Because speed of play, the physicality, all those come into play. I had a good experience. I was able to like play all 4 years. Continue to develop each year. I had really great coaches, but I think the level wasn't as high as some of the other academy teams.
But the good thing about also just being African, you have some of the most amazing genetics. You have strength, physicality, speed, stamina. I mean, we went to the same school. We did 2 miles. You was actually killing it, you know. But like that also did play a huge role because you came from, a background where you actually have developed yourself to become a man at an early age. So when you play with those young kids in academies, it's like they feel as if they're playing with someone that's either older than them. So like when it was time to like start looking for colleges, that's when a lot of people panic. That's when a lot of people panic. Like, do I want to stay in my city? Do I want to go out? What if I go to a different state and now I'm struggling? I don't have nobody to call on. How was that for you? Like when it was time to start looking for schools and colleges to go to?
Yeah, I think I was trying to go D1. That was like my priority, and then naturally I reached out to the schools that were like local or around the area. So Canisius, Bonnie's, Syracuse. I think Limon at the time was D2, but I was also getting recruited by them. Colgate, Cornell, those type of schools, just because those were the schools that I knew. But also applied to other, um, you know, further out schools. I was just focused on trying to, get on the team and get an opportunity to be able to play. And I wasn't too concerned about, I'm gonna be far from family. I didn't. I mean, back home, where I was 7, 6 years old, like, I was responsible for a lot of stuff that
Right.
a kid that age wouldn't be able to do. So I felt like I was mature enough to be able to kind of go anywhere and be fine. And it was just more so like, where am I going to be comfortable? And part of the reason I came to Canisius was because my high school teammate actually was already here, and he was part of the reason that like convinced me to
Was
come.
it that Asian kid,
Yeah, he unfortunately had to go
the
back.
one from Korea?
Yeah, he had to go back to Korea.
Why did he go back? Military.
I think yeah. So there's
Okay.
obviously, as you're well aware, there are certain service requirements for
That's crazy,
men in
bro.
that country. So he had to
Because
go.
that was I know one of the professional players' son from
Yeah.
Korea. They told him if he doesn't win like a championship, he's gonna
Yeah.
he's gonna be put in the military. This guy
Yeah.
won a championship, but
Yeah.
fired by force, man.
It's serious, and
That's
yeah,
crazy.
everybody who's a man and is of abilities required to do those sort of military service.
Yeah, that's crazy. And do you remember the first time we met, bro? It was, I think, at the flag. Was it?
Was it the did you go to ID camp?
Oh yeah,
You were at the ID
yeah,
camp?
yeah. The ID camp. We met there, and then I was still a junior in high school.
Oh, then the Rochester Flag
yeah,
Festival?
and then the flag festival.
Okay.
Actually, because Awal, who
Yeah.
was coming to Buffalo a lot,
Okay.
introduced us.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is Glory, this is my brother Dew. And then from there, it was like, okay, we're gonna connect. And then
Yeah.
when I found out that he was coming to Canisius, and also I was, talking to Canisius, it was like, oh shoot, like,
Yeah.
we gonna-
Did we? I don't know if you officially met, but you were were we at the same ID camp or no?
yeah, I came to the ID camp. Yep, I came to the ID camp, but I was still a junior.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you was graduating, so like the focus was for you guys to be
Mhm.
seen, and then next was gonna be like
Your class.
for the next year and so on. And man, it was amazing. Like look where we are now. Look who we are, and we
Yeah.
still look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
people see me sometimes and they say, "Yo, bro, you still look young, bro. Like, how old are you, man?" Like, man, it's good genetics. You feel me?
Yeah.
But college, when you first got recruited, how did you deliver that message to your parents and telling them like, this is the college that I'm going to, and I'll be playing soccer and pursuing my education?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it was a big discussion. I think when I signed, my family came to the school. Like there was it wasn't just me. There was other like kids that were going to like D1 schools as well. So there was
Right.
the school put together like a programming and invited the families, and we did like the official signing and stuff. So that was cool. But in terms of like delivering the news, I just told them, hey, I'm going to the school. It's like an hour from here. I'm gonna study this and that. I'm gonna play soccer there, and they're like, cool. Because again, they don't know. They don't know.
Right.
They've never gone to school, right? So they don't really
Mhm.
have much context and can't really help out there. But they were just happy to see that I was going to college and I would be getting a degree.
Yeah. Was it a culture shock coming to college the first time? Just as from high school to college.
I wouldn't say culture shock. I came on the visit, and that was that one went crazy. My official visit here, because I committed that same day, and and the guy was like, "Yeah, we gotta celebrate. We gotta celebrate." Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, at that point I hadn't drank ever, right? And that night, I think I just
It messed you
it,
up.
it mixed up a lot of stuff. And I remember I woke up the next day like, where the I
Uh,
literally, because so they had I think the women's soccer team and the men's soccer team had like a pregame at somebody's house, and they were playing all these different games. And because I didn't really drink or do much in high school, I wasn't really good at these games. I was just drinking, and a lot of it was like, mixed, like it was alcohol mixed with like fruit punch, and so you couldn't really taste the liquor. It was just like you're drinking juice, and that's quite dangerous. So I was just drinking, and then I think like an hour later, everything just hit, and I was on the couch like
damn.
I couldn't move. And so they went out, they went downtown, and
The hangover hit you like crazy.
but dude, I woke up the next day like, where the fuck am I? Because I was lost. I literally had never been to Buffalo before, and I remember calling my friend Cho, who was convincing me to come here,
Right.
and he was nowhere to be found. So then I had to call my other friend who I knew was here but wasn't on the team. And I'm like, bro, I'm lost. Like, let me send you my location. Come find me. It was,
He was
so
gone.
that was a crazy experience. But outside of that, I don't think I had anything.
Yeah. I don't think for you it would be a culture shock because you came from a school that was already a PWI too.
Yeah, no,
Kind
yeah,
of, right? So
yeah,
like,
yeah. So
For me,
again,
it was different. Like,
okay,
because when
okay.
I went to Canisius, bro, like, man, I came from a public school where I saw everybody.
Yeah.
I could see like 100 black people, 100 white people, 100 Asians, 100 Africans, and I'm like, okay, this
Yeah.
place is diverse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's diverse. Like, and then when I went to Canisius, I'm like, there's 1,000 white people, 5 Africans.
Yeah, okay,
It
that's
was
fair.
different, bro. It was
That's
different. I was like,
that's
man,
fair.
I just have to find a way to adapt to this culture,
That's fair.
you know. But like throughout college, throughout like just soccer itself, what was some of your favorite and memorable experiences?
Soccer wise, I would just say trips, right? I think I've been able to like, I mean, just traveling and playing. Again, soccer. It was weird because soccer didn't go the way I wanted it to go,
All right.
and it was funny. There was periods I really thought I didn't like the sport. Again, I just didn't like the environment because I would go and play somewhere else, like summer leagues and whatnot, and like the love for the sport came back. But it was just in this environment where I was like struggling with certain things that I felt like I didn't necessarily, enjoy playing this sport, which wasn't the case. I think my favorite moments have been just the people I met. I met some really cool people here. Been able to make some amazing memories. People who are still good friends to this day. Um, so I'll probably say the memories I've made with the people that I've met. Again, when I was just in Europe, right? I literally saw Filippo, right? I saw him in Rimini, right? And then I went up to Milan and I saw Fede, right? And it's just like having friends all over the world. It's just such a.
It's amazing, bro.
And
Nah,
then
I
like
feel you.
a few years ago, I saw Malcolm in South Africa, right?
Hey, you went to South Africa?
Yeah, yeah. Just like that, that is such a beautiful thing to be able to just do. Like I'm in your country. Yeah, can I come? Show me around or whatever, right? Like that's the beauty of sports. It brings so many people, different people together, and you make you know
That's
great
the beauty
memories.
of soccer
Yeah,
because you get to meet people from all over the world.
exactly.
You know, you play other sports like American football
Yeah.
or basketball,
Yeah,
and it's gonna limit. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
most of the people will be from here.
exactly,
You know, so beauty of playing real football.
exactly.
But let's
Beautiful
talk
game.
about. So you mentioned about soccer. Sometimes you felt like, man, like do I want to continue this sport? Was it because of Derms? Because Derms, man, like he was a good coach at first, at the start. But this guy, I don't know, for some reason, he just started changing day by day. Like, what was your experience with him?
I think with me, again, there's some things I respect about the guy, and I think me and him have mutual respect. But there's things I think he could have done better, right, in terms of like player management. I think he has a certain style of managing players, and I think that's not the most effective way, right?
Mm.
Some players will react better to certain ways of doing things, right? So his method was like scream at you and like try to scare you into like playing well, right? It's like I remember one of the things we say, oh, if you don't, do that, or if you do this, you're not gonna play. Which
I'm gonna make you fucking run.
exact. So I don't
Like-
think that's like the most effective, especially for me. I was somebody that was struggling with confidence, right? I think you go from being captain of your team, right? Like I was starter. Like not only was I starting my freshman year, but there was no other freshmen on the team. Like, right. So you go from that being captain your senior year, like always reading by yourself in the newspaper, like watching your highlights on TV and stuff. Right? You like build this confidence, but it's not really built internally. It was me relying on like the newspapers, my coaches, my teammates telling me how good I was. Right. That's where I got my confidence from. And then when I came to college, that flipped a little bit. It wasn't I wasn't getting that much praise. It was more like stop doing this, stop messing up. I was getting criticized, and I started to like doubt myself a little bit.
It used to be very like one thing about dude used to dribble like crazy in high school.
Exactly right.
No,
like,
but when you got to college,
I lost.
you kind of like limited. Like,
No, because
it's
I was scared now. I was like,
Right.
because you mess up, right? He's yelling at you, and like you don't want to mess up. So like you get the ball and you want to get rid of the ball because you want to limit the opportunity that you have to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Which is as a winger, like you thrive off like having confidence. Like you got to believe that you're gonna beat the guy in front of you, right? And if you don't, and you're second doubting yourself, you're second guessing yourself, you're not gonna beat that guy,
Exactly.
right? And if you're scared to take guys on, you're not optimizing for your skill sets, right? Like I was fast, I was good dribbling, I could shoot with both feet, right? And I worked hard. Like those were things. Like, and he was honest. He was like, the ceiling for you is really there. Like you have all these right ingredients, but I just need to